Malaysia and Japan officially elevate ties to strategic partnership. 10% low-value goods sold online tax to be imposed early next year. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. I am Olivia Nicholas and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. The Malaysia and Japan has now officially been elevated to a strategic comprehensive partnership. According to Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, the elevated partnership will create more cooperative opportunities between both countries in various new fields.
I'm very impressed with your commitment not only to Malaysia but to the region. Japan has been a long-standing friend, very important in terms of collaboration on a number of issues, diplomatic, but more so trade and investments. We in Malaysia recognize the role, pivotal role, strategic role that Japan has played, including the investment by the private sector.
Both leaders also witnessed the signing and exchange of notes of the official security assistance grant aid by Japan that will provide monitoring and surveillance equipment for Malaysia. They also witnessed the exchange of a memorandum of cooperation on space development and application between the Malaysian Space Agency MYSA and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency JAXA. Before the announcement and the signing ceremony, both premiers had a brief bilateral meeting. Dato Sri Anwar said Malaysia is appreciative of Japan's commitment to Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, since the 1980s that had contributed to the growth of the region. In a related development, the Foreign Ministry or Wisma Putra said the elevation to comprehensive strategic partnership will see both countries enhancing cooperation in 5 key areas. These areas are peace and security cooperation, continued engagement at all levels for economic prosperity, science, technology, innovation and environment, society, cultural and people-to-people exchange, and regional and global cooperation. During the meeting held at the sidelines of the ASEAN-Japan Commemorative Summit, both premiers also discussed ways to further expand cooperation in various areas including trade and investment, defense, education, energy transition, and capacity building between Japan International Cooperation Agency (JICA) and Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program (MTCP) of Wisma Putra. In 2022, Malaysia's trade with Japan was valued at $41.21 billion, contributing 6.4% of Malaysia's total trade and making IT's Malaysia's 4th largest trading partner for 8 successive years since 2015. As of June 2023, a total of 2,778 manufacturing projects have been implemented with total investments worth $27.43 billion. The ministry further noted that the elevation of bilateral relations marks a new chapter in Malaysia-Japan bilateral ties and added that Malaysia is confident that the renewed commitment will lead to even closer cooperation and greater benefits for both countries. Dewan Negara President Tan Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said there is a need to establish a committee to study any new bills proposed to Parliament by the Executive or Administration to ensure they do not conflict with the Federal Constitution. He said this was part of an effort to strengthen the role of Parliament. Commenting further on the matter recently, the Dewan Negara president said the committee will examine bills in detail, as even though they have been studied by the Attorney General's chambers and the government, inconsistencies are still found in government policies. He said there were still certain laws enacted since independence that did not align with the requirements of the Constitution and characterized these laws as ineffective. In the meantime, he said discussions on the matter had been held with Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul, and that the plan had also been conveyed to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. He said he has received an agreement that he will lead the technical study concerning what needs to be done, and after that, the completed technical study will be brought to committee at the parliamentary level. Tan Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi added that the committee will be co-chaired by the Dewan Rakyat Speaker and the Dewan Negara President and include representatives from the two houses of Parliament, legal advisors and relevant government representatives. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil has denied claims that the government has expunged content from social media platforms in response to criticism directed towards him or the unity government. Instead, he said the decision was because a significant portion, or 70% of them, involve promotions of illegal sales and online scams. Fahmi, through a Facebook post today, also shared statistics on harmful content for the current year, stating that 25,642 pieces of content were removed compared to 1,019 in 2022. Of the content removed this year, 18,140 were scams and illegal sales, followed by 4,008 fake news content, 2,858 offensive content, 599 with pornographic material, and 37 threatening content. Fahmi, who is also the Unity Government's spokesperson, was commenting on a news article titled Padam Kandungan, Langkah ke Arah Cengkaman Media, published by a daily today. According to the local media, companies like Facebook, Meta, and TikTok have confirmed receiving an increase in requests from the Malaysian government in the first 6 months of 2023, urging them to either delete certain contents or block user accounts on their platforms. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim's decision to split the Ministry of Communications and Digital, KKD, into two different ministries in the cabinet reshuffle is a strategic move. The challenge in communication field is far much greater now with the existence of various social media platforms. With cases of video clips containing defamatory elements by irresponsible individuals uploaded to social media platforms almost on a daily basis, it could only be curbed through a more focused communication regulation to ensure that only authentic information is received by the community. The placement of several key agencies such as the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, and the Department of Information, JAPEN, under the Ministry of Communications led by Fahmi Fadil should be seen from the point of view of management and administration. It was also a positive step that shows the government's readiness for the rapid development in technology and changes in community communication patterns. The digital aspect, which is included under the communications sector, has undergone a very rapid revolution, making its role now extend to the economy and security of the people and the country. In the cabinet reshuffle announced by the Prime Minister on Tuesday, KKD was split into two different ministries, the Ministry of Communications and the Ministry of Digital, with the Ministry of Digital led by former Minister of Communications and Multimedia, Gobind Singh Dio. Government provides 600 million ringgit for rubber smallholders development. That and more in our business segment. Malaysia will start charging a 10% sales tax on low-value goods, LVG, sold online from the 1st of January 2024. According to the Royal Malaysian Customs Department, Malaysia was supposed to impose the tax on the 1st of April 2023 under Budget 2022, but it was postponed indefinitely in March this year. The Customs Department defined LVG as all goods, excluding cigarettes, tobacco products, intoxicating liquors, electronic cigarettes, and preparation of a kind used for smoking, which are sold at a price not exceeding 500 ringgit and are brought into Malaysia by land, sea, or air. Those who sell LVG on an online platform or operate an online marketplace for the sale and purchase of LVG must register with the RMCD if the total sale value of LVG brought into Malaysia exceeds 500,000 in 12 months. Separately, the department also published a set of guidelines on the implementation of LVG sales tax on its portal dated 3rd of November 2023. Meanwhile, according to the federal government gazette published by the Attorney General's Chambers on the 8th of December 2023, Prime Minister and Finance Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim had signed the Sales Tax Amendment Act 2022, appointment of effective date for charging and levying of sales tax on low-value goods LVG on the 4th of December 2023. Concerted efforts to promote Malaysian-made goods need to be increased to change the perception of some people who see local products as not carrying the image of luxury and quality. Putra Business School Economic Analyst Associate Professor Dr. Ahmed Razman Abdul Latif said government ministries and agencies, industry, chambers of commerce and entrepreneurs should play a role in creating effective campaigns to promote Malaysian goods locally and internationally. Elaborating further on the matter, Professor Dr. Ahmed Razman said the promotional campaigns should highlight the unique aspect of Malaysian products, not only that they are cheaper, but also of high quality, thus giving added value to the product status symbol. He said the move would strengthen the domestic economy and help local enterprises penetrate the global market, which would create employment opportunities among local people, as well as encourage new economic growth. When launching the Malaysian Goods Carnival in Putrajaya on Thursday, Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim wanted efforts to promote Malaysian goods to be enhanced to stimulate the country's economic growth. The Malaysia My Second Home MM2H program's relaxation could enhance Johor's economy, while the establishment of the Singapore-Johor Special Economic Zone will facilitate the movement of people and goods between the regions. Commenting further on the matter, Deputy Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Liu Chin Tong stated that the establishment of the economic zone would benefit Johor and be profitable for Singaporeans.
And that will benefit Johor as well as benefiting Singapore because cost of living is much higher than Singapore. And we're hoping that in those contexts, in the context of Johor, Singapore, Special Economic Zone, the relaxation of MM2H and all this will help actually to further spur the economy in Johor.
Besides that, the Deputy Minister added that the step will also increase the digital trade between the two regions. The government has provided more than 600 million ringgit for the development of rubber smallholders this year, with half of it allocated to accelerate the replanting program, since the agricultural commodity is typically susceptible to price fluctuation. Rubber Industry Smallholders Development Authority RISDA Chairman Dato Sri Dr. Noraini Ahmad said the authority has always opened up space and opportunities for those keen in developing the rubber industry in this country, as well as being a part of RISDA's smallholders community. She said through the campaign, interested parties will receive various assistance programs that offer up to 38,800 ringgit. She said the aid packages were to achieve a target for smallholders to earn an average income of 4,500 ringgit a month per family by the end of 2025, as best as possible. The RISDA chairman further noted that currently the rubber smallholders sector accounts for 84.2% of the country's natural rubber production, which shows the dominance of smallholders as the main players. However, she said smallholders are exposed to various issues, including the instability of market prices, unpredictable weather, technology applications, and tree disease attacks that have led to a decrease in rubber productivity. Efforts to strengthen science, technology and mathematics (STI) will be expanded to increase the participation of young generation in educational field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics (STEM). Ministry of Science, Technology and Technology Secretary General Dato Dr. Aminuddin Hasim said it will provide positive impacts in efforts to accelerate STI on the grassroots level.
Itu yang pentingnya mesti dan rakan-rakan kita di Kementerian Pendidikan, Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, Kementerian DMITI, Kementerian Sumber Manusia dan juga rakan-rakan kita yang lain, kita telah mewujudkan salah satu iaitu kita jawatan kuasa STEM yang mana kita akan melihat perkara-perkara yang boleh kita rencanakan bersama untuk kita bawa sains teknologi kepada mainstream supaya mereka terus kekal dengan bidang ini dan juga kita terjemahkannya kepada dalam bidang-bidang pekerjaan dan juga kita terjemah kepadanya untuk sektor-sektor industri utama.
He was met at the 2023 Science Exporia launching ceremony in Kuala Lumpur today. He added the program is the best platform to discover new talents in the STI field. MOSTI recorded 1.8 million of participants in the Malaysia Techlympics program, aside from the 600,000 participation in the National Science Week, which was launched since May this year. Construction industry players are urged to view safety as an investment and not as a mere cost to avoid any unwanted event following the collapsed crane incident which disrupted the commuter and electric train service ETS of Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad KTMB in the Klang Valley last Tuesday. Master Builders Association Malaysia MBAM President Oliver Wee Hiang Chin, in acknowledging almost everything in the industry revolves around cost efficiency, said project owners, consultants or any party involved should offer suitable prices so that the contractors could in turn allocate a proportionate amount towards safety. Construction Industry Development Board CIDB Chief Executive Dato Muhammad Zaid Zakaria meanwhile suggested contractors make the code of practice related to safety and health through the preparation of the Construction Industry Standard CIS that was developed by the board as a reference in ensuring good construction practices. The Public and Road User Safety Construction Working adjacent to the above roadways CIS 2021 was developed for the reference of contractors who plan to carry out construction activities adjacent to or in existing roads, public transportation to prevent accidents to road users or citizens. On the foreign front, Israeli attack kills Al Jazeera journalist. Stay tuned. An Israeli attack killed an Al Jazeera journalist and wounded his colleague in the Gaza Strip. Al Jazeera had initially reported that the cameraman Samir Abu Daka and Gaza bureau chief Wael Al-Dahudu were wounded in a school in Khan Yunis, where they were hit by shrapnel from an Israeli missile attack. In a subsequent statement condemning the Israeli military, Al Jazeera attributed the injuries to a drone strike. The network added that Samir was left to bleed to death for over 5 hours as Israeli forces prevented ambulances and rescue workers from reaching him, denying the much-needed emergency treatment. Al-Dado was wounded in the arm and transferred to Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. The Foreign Press Association called on the Israeli army to investigate and consider the incident as a grave blow to the already limited freedom of the press in Gaza. Al Jazeera managing editor Muhammad Muawad paid tribute to Abu Daka on X, formerly Twitter, saying his unwavering commitment to truth and storytelling has left an indelible mark to the team. According to Hamas, a first strike had targeted a school belonging to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees in Khan Yunis, which the journalist had come to cover. A second strike then took place, which deliberately targeted the journalists so that they do not document the massacres committed by the regime in the Gaza Strip. Al Jazeera said it held Israel accountable for systematically targeting and killing Al Jazeera journalists and their families. Ukraine's air defense and mobile groups of drone hunters shot down 30 out of 31 Russian drones over 11 regions across the country on Saturday. A series of explosions resounded throughout the Ukrainian capital Kyiv as air defense units engaged Russian drones. Head of city's military administration said there were no casualties and no major damage reported in Kyiv. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said anti-aircraft units went into action as groups of the Russian drones flew across the outskirts of the city and targeted areas near the city center. Witnesses reported loud blasts just after midnight, with a new series of explosions over the next 45 minutes also hit areas near Kyiv's central districts. Overnight air alerts in many Ukraine regions lasted for about 5 hours. Russian drone attacks on Ukraine's city and regions have become increasingly frequent. Ukraine officials have said Russia is targeting the nation's power and energy infrastructure during and ahead of the critical cold months of winter. Moscow has denied targeting Ukraine's civilian infrastructure. Rudy Giuliani must pay more than $148 million in damages to two former Georgia election workers he defamed through false accusation that they helped rig the 2020 election against Donald Trump. The jury in federal court in Washington, D.C. found that Giuliani owes the workers, Wandre Shea Moss and her mother, Ruby Freeman, roughly $73 million to compensate them for the reputational and emotional harm they suffered and $75 million to punish the former Trump lawyer. A federal judge determined before the trial that Giuliani was liable for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress and civil conspiracy. The only question before the jury was how much in damages to impose on Giuliani, who helped Republican former President Trump advance his false claims of a stolen 2020 election. Giuliani said he would appeal. The verdict was reached after an emotional 3 days of testimony in which Moss and Freeman, who are black, recounted a deluge of racist and sexist messages, including threats of lynching they received after Trump and his allies spread false claims that they were engaged in voters' fraud. A powerful solar flare erupted from the sun on Thursday, which scientists say it is the most significant solar flare occurrence since 2017. The eruption originated from the far northwest section of the sun, captured by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory using extreme ultraviolet light. Coronal mass ejections, CMES, resulting from these solar flares have the potential to impact Earth, giving rise to geomagnetic storms that can disrupt power grids and other critical infrastructures. Solar activity follows an 11-year cycle, and according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, the current cycle, known as Solar Cycle 25, began in 2019 and is expected to reach its peak between January and October 2024. Tan Sri Muhammad Nurza Zakaria will continue his term as President of Badminton Association of Malaysia until 2025. The matter was announced by the BAM Board of meeting today. According to Tan Sri Nurza, the decision was made after he received a recommendation from the Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh, as well as full support by the member of the board.
Appeal ataupun request, I say request daripada Yang Berhormat Menteri yang merasakan bahawa sebagai co-chair kepada RTG dan melihat bagaimana kebanyakan daripada pemain-pemain datangnya daripada badminton dan ia memerlukan satu koordinasi yang fokus terhadap pemain-pemain tersebut dan apa yang kita buat, proses ini adalah menuju kepada Olimpik. Seharusnya tidak ada perkara-perkara yang mengganggu gugat dari segi persiapan tersebut.
In the meantime, BEM saw an importance that Tan Sri Nurza's continue to lead the body, especially in managing national athletes that will be competing in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. In Club World Cup campaign, substitute Alex Schock scored a 78th-minute winner as Urawa Red Diamonds beat Lyon 1-0 on Friday to progress to the semi-finals where they will meet Manchester City. Meanwhile, Al Ahly dispatched Al Ittihad 3-1 early to book their place in the Club World Cup semi-finals and will take on Ashore to fire home for a commanding 3-0 lead. The Saudis champion appearing in a late straight red card for an elbow challenge. And with that, we reach the end of this evening's bulletin. Our top story tonight, Malaysia-Japan elevate ties to strategic partnership. Do join us again tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 p.m. on TV2 and Salar on Berita RTM for your daily world updates. I am Olivia Nicholas. From the river to the sea, to Palestine will be free. Good night.